notes are on my phone, so I'm not being rude. I'm
Okay.
texting while you're interviewing.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. Okay, so we're live. So welcome, everyone. I'm Jessica Fox, team leader for Clearwater, KW Clearwater, and
I'm Amanda Dahl. I'm the VP of Operations and Growth for Team Borum in the Market Center.
so tell us about what you guys are listing and closing in a year, just to give us some perspective.
Yes, so to give you last year's numbers, we closed 181 transactions at 46.5 million in volume, and we did about 1.3 before referral fees in GCI. And we ran close to 50-50 as possible lists and buys. This year, we're actually really excited because we just celebrated a lot of stuff at our team meeting. We have now 50 pending files, which is the most we've ever had at one point.
That's pretty awesome. Any one of you would be happy for that in a year, right? 50 in a year?
For the month of August, we have just at $10 million that is pending for the month of August, which is, again, the biggest month that we'll ever have, and we've been doing this for about 4.5 years now. Our focus, honestly, we have dialed it down so simple to we need to take 4 listings a week to reach our goal. 4 sellable listings that are at a $250 price point or above, and we will reach our goals for this year.
Okay. So feel free to raise your hand with questions. Go for it.
So those $10 million, is that single family? Is that single family condos, or is it all residential or commercial?
And what we're going to do every time we get a question, since we're live, we're going to repeat it. So you wanted to know what is the makeup of those listings, right?
Yes, I think there are a couple, there's either 1 or 2 deals that are pending that are commercial. The rest of it's residential though.
So would you say you're about 90% residential?
Yeah.
If not more. So it's truly residential. That's awesome. Great question. Okay, so when we say list to last, that is a term in real estate that has existed since I got started 25 years ago. And the reason why is listings are the bait for all leads. Okay, so let's just say you guys owned a shoe store and you had 5 custom pair of shoes, or you had Zappos where you had every pair of shoes. Which store would you rather have? Zappos, right? Because if you have a certain type of shoe and it's not the type of shoe I wear, I'm never going to go to your store. And yet if you have all the shoes, I'm going to go to your store. So when you think about the term list to last, it really is true because listings are the bait that bring all leads in. So for an office, it's really important for an office to be heavy on listings, and this office carries hundreds and hundreds of listings. So this last month, we listed over 275 homes. So what does that mean to you as an agent? That means you have properties that you can list or that you can use for an open house. There are properties that you can call and circle prospect around. There are properties that represent us as a company, right? And really make us stand apart from maybe a small shop that only has a handful of listings. So there's power in the listings. And so tell us what you think about when you think listings. What do you guys do to create opportunity around your listings?
Yeah, and I mean, just to piggyback on your point, we closed 8 transactions last month that we double-sided. So that's 8 buyers we would not have had if we didn't have the listings, just to give you guys perspective. So you
and
have
that's who you closed. So how many other buyer leads maybe came about?
Oh, yeah.
It's almost hard to comprehend. So a one single listing that's a really hot listing could bring you 6 buyers, even more in a slower market. So I actually wish the market would slow down. I actually wish the market would slow down significantly, because one of the challenges we've had, you guys, is that the market's been so hot and heavy that you get the listing, you barely get a sign in the yard, you may not even had professional photography done yet, and you've got offers. So when the market's more normalized, we get more opportunity. You get that sign in the yard working for you longer. You've got people calling on it. You've got people that are neighbors around curious about it and aware of it. You've got people going to your open house. You have sign calls. You have internet leads. You have showing requests. There really is, if you start thinking about it, it's insurmountable. And if you compare that, which is such great bait for this business, which is the hardest part of this business, is lead gen, is it not? And if you had this weekend, a buyer, and you showed them 18 properties over the weekend and they wrote 2 offers and 1 got accepted, and you got them accepted, now what do you have? Nothing, right? So just think of how much opportunity your listings create for your team members.
Well, and we're just talking about buyers. Let's get crazy and talk about the idea that a listing could get you other listings too.
It does.
It generates other listings.
It does, because it creates awareness in the neighborhood, and if you do a great job, it's like your billboard for the neighborhood.
Absolutely.
So on the flip side, if you just go throw a sign up and you don't really know what to do to work a listing and the market slows, it's not a good billboard, is it? If it's sitting there 3 months later and it's tipped over and it's rusting. Fair?
Yeah.
And we've seen that.
Yeah.
And yet this market, many of you have never been through that market. That market actually exists in Fort Lauderdale, in Miami, in Naples. And so Greg Schreiber is a great agent in this office that actually works both markets. He has a team down near Fort Lauderdale and he has a team here. His team in Fort Lauderdale wants buyers right now. They have the listings. They really wish they had more buyers. Here, we want the listings because we're in two different markets. So just remember that, and as the market slows, buyers will become gold to you. So what I hope to really resonate with you all today is, when that market's shifting, what are you doing with those listings? And let's just be honest, if you really tricked out your listings to the nth degree, like you guys do for sure, you guys are great role models to us. And what we're gonna share with you today, just think of how much more you could get from these listings, okay? And what I'd love to challenge you is, who cares what the market is? Why wouldn't you work a listing like we're gonna propose today all the time? All the time, not just when the market shifts, because it's opportunity lost otherwise. Do you have a question?
Yeah, what do you mean by tricked out?
So we're gonna go through that,
okay.
like what you really do with the listing.
Okay.
And what do you do with a listing that went dead on you? You know, what do you do with a listing that maybe lost its lust? Because you have that star power with a new listing in the beginning, but if you mispriced it and no one's looking at it, then what do you do, right? Or if the market's shifting and you were being optimistic with your pricing, how do you adjust and actually kind of resuscitate the listing? I call it CPR on your listing because no one's calling. No one's asking to see it. You got trouble then, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So do you want to add anything to that?
Well, I was going to say, and so I think a lot of you in the room are new or newer, and so I just want to preface this by saying you're going to hear a whole bunch of stuff, and we've been doing this 4.5 years, and we still improve every single day. So even if you take one nugget from this, don't think you have to write it all down and go implement it tomorrow. A lot of it was building on years and years. So if you take just one thing and you consistently work at it and use that, you're going to see a difference in your business, and then you sprinkle on top of that.
Yeah, you get better and better and better.
Absolutely.
So we're going to give you lots of ideas today. So the first thing I want to talk about is securing the listing. And what I mean by that is, let's just pretend you all have someone that you kind of know, or you have some relationship with, but you're not super tight with. Maybe it was a guest at an open house that you kind of hit it off with, or someone that you met at a happy hour, or a parent of another kid at school, but not someone that you're best buddies with, but it seems like they're pretty sure they're going to list with you, just from a little side conversation. Very common situation, wouldn't you agree? Now, what I'm seeing in the office, because I have the benefit of listening to over 450 agents talk about their business to me, I can keep a really good pulse on what's going on. And one of the new trends that we're seeing is that, let's just say I met you, we really hit it off, and I said, yeah, let's get together and talk about my property next week. You know, I'm not quite ready, but next week. And you have an appointment with me, okay? What we're seeing is a lot of agents losing that appointment and finding out that they listed with Opendoor or Zillow Offers or this guy that said they would do it for 1% before you even got to the appointment, okay? That's a new thing. Wasn't happening before, and that's part of the reason I wanted to host this class for you guys, to give you new ideas on that. So not only do you have to secure the listing appointment, but you have to secure that you actually got the listing. So I want to first talk about the appointment. And if any of you have any great examples or things you want to plus it with, please share. So when you guys have that circumstance, what does that look like on your team, or what's the coaching you would give me to make sure that they actually keep the appointment?
Yeah, so first, setting yourself up for success and qualifying the appointment. Did you just get someone on the phone that's like, yeah, you can come swing by my house? Or it's, you know, if it's somebody that you know and they're like, yeah, we're thinking about it maybe. Like, use a qualifying, you're gonna hear me reference scripts a lot because we use scripts across the board. So do you have a good qualifying script, and are you asking the right questions that will allow you to identify now if this is really somebody serious that you're talking to? And if so, you can dig, and in digging in the questions, you're already proving your value to them. You're asking them questions that they're probably not being asked, and you're really getting the information that you need to know if it even is a possibility to get an appointment, right?
Right, and what I would add to that is, if you need scripts, you can go to your Ignite materials under KW Connect, and they have great scripts right there for pre-qualifying the appointment. Now, some people are afraid to pre-qualify the appointment because they feel like they may push someone away. And what I challenge you to do is, if I'm kind of like laissez-faire and like, sure, I'll come over, and Amanda also has an appointment and is very scripted and professional about it, who might win already? Right? The professional. So this is a big deal, and sometimes agents come a little aloof or casual, especially if it's someone you know, and yet you really want to know where you're at and throw that professional razzle-dazzle, right?
It's so funny because I think about change the way you look at things and the things that you look at change, and it's so funny that most people will run away from pain faster than they will run towards pleasure. I see the pleasure, and if I qualify you and I realize that you are someone who's going to waste my time anyway, that's a bonus for me. I just got an hour back potentially of my time. Where most people look at it like, oh my gosh, I don't want the pain of having to sit through that call and them turning me down and me being scared about what I'm going to say. So it's just funny how like, you change your perspective. So no, absolutely use a script. It's going to save you time in the end.
Well, and the thing is you can set the tone, because a lot of people waste time going to an appointment and find out the person that actually owns the property is not there, or the decision maker in the family is not even going to be there. And then they get sideways with the husband or the wife that really was the decision maker, feeling like they snuck in and didn't get involved with them. So it's very interesting how this works, and yet this is a mindset thing that a lot of agents that are newer to listing or not really polished up on listings find themselves. What I'd also add is there's a new script that we're going to start using, and we're going to start talking about iBuy, just like we would say, have you considered selling this by yourself? Have you considered looking into an instant offer? Now, I'm going to give you some language around that right now. Instant offers are predatory offers. They are. Because they are the consumers getting sold on a vision of this is going to be so much easier, and you're just going to have to give a little bit of your commission up, and you can choose when you move, and you don't have to deal with any of the hassles of showings, you don't have to get your house cleaned up, and blah blah blah. And what we're seeing, and there's studies and evidence that shows us, that the average person that goes instant offer versus traditional realtor is losing somewhere between 15 and 16% of their equity conservatively. And it's gone as high as 40 and 60% in some markets and in some areas. So you want to bring that up and say, if you're considering instant offers, I will help you with that and give you another couple options to do that if that really is your best interest. However, we're finding that a lot of these companies are smoke and mirror marketing, and they're taking advantage of the consumer, costing the consumer sometimes 3 or 4 times what my fees would cost you. Now you're going to throw that out there right now, you guys. You're not going to wait for them to go check it out on their own because it sounds so great. And if you research it, where you find, and you can see the marketing, they're actually now calling your neighborhoods. They're calling your database, and they're offering instant offers. They're marketing, they're postcard marketing, and they've got ISAs that are unlicensed calling neighborhoods and actually giving offers over the phone. So you shouldn't wait for the listing appointment. You should be marketing this now. Yes, June?
So is there a side-by-side comparison that we can create that would show a home that was actually sold with one of these instant offers here in our market, and then what it would have cost had they gone with Keller Williams?
That would be awesome, and yet we don't have much here, but they're coming to our market right now. So if we use Phoenix, because Phoenix has had iBuy for over a year now, they're now seeing the problems of that. And the problems of that is, let's just say this is a room full of houses for sale in a neighborhood, and you and the chairs happen to be iBuy versus the rest of the traditional sales. What we're finding is that in Phoenix, the case study is the average home they went after was $240,000, and when they back out the average equity lost, it was $40,000 to $60,000. That's insane. That's why we're calling it predatory offers, because they're saying one thing and then doing another. And what they're doing is they're giving a net sheet that looks really hopeful. And yet, if you back out through the transaction, what they're doing is they're dinging the consumer at inspection and appraisal. So for example, let's just say, June, you're my example, and you say, I don't want to have to tidy up the house. I don't want to have to paint every room. I don't want to have to fix that one piece of drywall. I know there's something going on in the roof, but it's nothing major. And I would like just to make this magically easy. That's what the consumer feels, correct? That's what they're hoping for. Well, I come in with an iBuy net sheet, and it looks pretty good, because Amanda, your friend that's a realtor, told you one thing and said, you're gonna have to fix all this stuff. You're gonna have to do this, and you're gonna have to do that. And you're like, oh, Lord, that sounds like a lot of work. I don't have time for that. I don't know who to call. I don't have a vendor for that, right? All those things are gonna add up. And the net sheet I give you is gonna look close to her net sheet. So who are you gonna pick? Possibly, right? Yet where the rubber meets the road is the inspection. So I come in with my own inspector, iBuyer, and I notice everything. I notice everything she noticed and a whole lot more. And you're so far into the deal at this point, I'm gonna ask for $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 credit for all the repairs. So that's where it doesn't add up, you guys, okay? Step further, this is where iBuy is getting in trouble globally. I resell the property after just throwing a little paint on the wall and fixing one hole. I may have charged you $10,000 in repairs, but I only made $1,000 in repairs, and I resell it. That's where people are really scrutinizing the iBuy model, because it's really smoke and mirror marketing and predatory offers. So, do you see how you guys have to be equipped for that right now? And that you should be actually approaching that topic now, not waiting for the listing appointment? But you certainly, when pre-qualifying, should ask that, shouldn't you? And the recommendation I'm going to give you is learn about Keller offers that you'll learn after Mega Camp, because Gary Keller has an iBuy solution. Know that Gary Ubaldini, our own owner, would be more than happy to look at any iBuy. So if someone gets an offer, he'll look at it, and if it's good, he'll beat it, so that you don't lose the opportunity. And really, if you really look at it, there's such a small few percentages of people where that actually makes sense for, that once you slow that down and get them educated, they're gonna be like, whoa, this is not what I thought I signed up for. So know that you've gotta add that in. Not only should you be marketing that right now, but you should be including that in your listing pre-call, right?
Absolutely.
Do you wanna add anything to that?
In terms of iBuy, no, I think you covered that.
Okay.
I mean, if we're gonna still go on to question one, go ahead, because I looked at some of the additional answers. So I mean, and I think right there you've proven your value. So it's showing your value up front and showing that, showing really that you're working for them. This isn't smoke and mirrors. Like show your value and make them want you, make them see the value in having you as their agent.
Now the other thing is, none of us like to be lied to or taken advantage of. Let's be honest. And if you can show some evidential proof, like June, you were recommending, of really reality, that's powerful. So I will update and send again the consumer or the discounters out there, like Redfin and Open Door OfferPad, all those discounter or iBuy models compared to our office. Not only in terms of sales and success, because if you look at the chart, I'm sure you guys have seen it, like we're here and they're there for actually success in sales, but it also shows the actual commission charged per side. So if you go to Redfin, for example, Redfin says they're gonna list your property at either 1 or 1.5%, it depends on what market you're in. If you go to their website, it says that. So a strong thing to bring up to your database, even before all of this, just to make sure that you're not losing appointments to these other models, is to expose their truth. Now, when you look at the last time I ran the numbers, Redfin per side charged more than it costs at our office. Interesting, isn't it? And yet, to the market and to the consumer, what are they saying they charge? 1 or 1.5%. So, know that you guys need to be marketing the real message and the real communication before this, because you may not be realizing how many appointments you're already losing. True? Okay, so again, I'm gonna bring this up during this process as well to secure the appointment. And this would be a really strong message in a video or anything that you create as a precursor to the appointment to keep the appointment. Because here's the thing, let's just role play like we're neighbors. Hey Amanda, I think I'm gonna sell my house.
Oh, fantastic. Really? Where are you thinking about moving?
Blah, blah, blah. Do you know a good realtor?
I do actually.
Who do you use?
I use my sister-in-law. She's with Keller Williams. She's amazing.
Awesome. You know what else I was thinking? Did you see Redfin? They only charge 1%.
Really?
Yeah, so that's the consumer talking right now, right? Did you see that offer pad? They're gonna do it for free, right? That's what the consumer's being told, right? And that's what they see, but they don't see everything behind it. So if you guys don't get ahead of this, you're not even gonna get the appointment. So, and yet, if you don't address it, during that time when I'm thinking about selling, I may have a neighbor say, oh no, you should go with Redfin, it's only 1%. That could happen as well. And then all of a sudden your appointment went where? Nowhere. You'll get crickets chirping. They won't return your calls or texts or anything because they would have already wanted to seek out that other option. Okay, anything you want to add about securing the listing appointment?
I just made some general notes here, just, we use a guaranteed sold program. So
Okay.
that is one thing that we market, and I mean,
So share with me the guarantee, it's like your own version of iBuy.
essentially, yes. So if you list with us, we guarantee that we're gonna sell your house, and there are a slew of things that have to happen, right? So you have to, you have to be willing to, price where the market says that you should be priced. I think it's, if we don't sell it in 60 days, then we'll sell it for free. However, these things need to happen. So pricing has to be right. You have to, sorry, I'm just trying to go over it in my head. You have to, if we don't get any showings, I think in 2 weeks, then you are agreeing to reduce the price by 3% every 2 weeks until we get an offer. If we do bring an offer, so there's a whole slew of things that's in there. And if they agree to it, then.
So it's basically protecting your best interest and making sure that they're real.
Correct.
Okay, Bill?
Are you doing that in your listing agreement?
Is that in your listing
The 3%
agreement? That was the
reduction.
question. Is it like pre-written in your listing agreement?
Oh, so this is one sheet that they sign, and we've got it advertised on a big billboard right there, guaranteed to sell your house. So when they ask us about that, it's just a one sheet agreement that we,
Like an addendum or something that you put onto the listing?
oh, yeah, correct, yeah.
So it's already
So,
this
this is like the one document that we agree on, and if they're good with it, this is part of their file, yes.
Very good, great question.
Another thing that we do is, the, one-page listing agreement. So, or it's not even an agreement, it's a listing commitment. So in the event that you go to speak with a seller and they tell you, oh, we're thinking about listing, but we're gonna be like 6 months out, and, so we won't sign any paperwork right now, we'll just give you a call in 6 months. Well, this is just like a listing commitment, so that's fine, Mr. Seller, 6 months is absolutely wonderful. Here's a listing commitment, and it just essentially basically says that they're committed to listing it with you.
So this is a great segue to my next point, which is listing before they're ready. The other thing I'm seeing, besides agents having their listing appointments disappear on them, because they went and checked out Redfin or iBuy, and were kind of taken advantage of in a way, we're seeing that, let's just say I need 3 weeks to get my house ready. I need to get some painting done, I definitely need to declutter, and I'm just not ready because my kids are going to school. Typical, right? You guys run into those circumstances all the time. And what I'm seeing is a lot of these come list me's where you haven't had the chance to have the really formal sit down are disappearing on you as well, because someone else creeps in the middle. Some neighbor said, oh, this guy's gonna do it for 1%, or this company has a billboard and they said 1.5%, and they're losing the appointment that way. Or they're losing the listing, they never really got to have that formal, this is how we do it, and this is how we're different, this is how we're better. So, that is a new trend that I want you to be aware of, and there's some real basic things that you can do to get people committed to you. So that's your commitment. So if I sign that, what do you do? How is that benefiting me or benefiting you?
I mean, it's
just more of a commitment.
That's all it is. Like, what are they gonna take
So
it
they
to
feel-
court? It doesn't hold up at all.
It's
This
a
is
sense
just
of
showing
obligation.
that, yeah, that's it. They are making the commitment to list, something about signing that piece of paper and saying, yes, I totally loved everything that you had to say. We're just really not ready. So they sign the listing commitment. Now we have that. And then we make ourselves relevant. So if they're waiting 3 or 6 months because they have to do improvements to the house, or they're waiting for something to happen, great, here's the listing commitment. We're gonna get in business with one another. Now let me help you. I have a whole black book full of people that can help you with your roof, and help you with your painting, and help you all that. So let's go ahead and sign now and get into a relationship with one another, and then we're gonna help you get ready to list your house.
So that's
Creating that
exactly
value.
what I'm going to recommend that you do And you wanna say things like, there's gonna be a litany of little chores, and if you don't wanna do them, I've got great people that are fair, they'll show up, and they'll give you a great deal. So again, you're gonna create that home service experience so that you can take some of that burden. Another great thing to say is, one of the things I wanna do is I wanna try to save you money, because I'm partnered with the largest real estate office in Pinellas County, and we have a lot of buyers looking for the right home. And perhaps, if you put me to work today, I can pre-market your listing internally while you get all the things that you wanna get done to make your home worth maximum showing appeal. I can pre-market it and potentially save you some money. And if I'm able to sell it during that period of time, I will give you X deal. And what you're gonna do is be able to circulate that as a coming soon listing internally. And what it does is to the consumer is it says, you know what, I already signed up with Bill. I already made that commitment with Bill. I may not have done all the paperwork. I haven't put on the market yet, but we've done the paperwork to say I have permission to pre-market, and you're able to put me to work. By putting me to work today, even though you have all those other little chores to do as the consumer, their mindset is, I already made a commitment. So if some agent tries to sneak in before it's listed and say, oh, I'll do it for one, they're less likely to be disruptive to you because they've already put you to work. And really where the bang for the buck is if you start your listings at a coming soon mode. Because let's be honest, listings are still selling pretty fast if they're priced right and they look good. Now we're seeing some trends of things slowing down, especially in certain price points or locations. Yet for the most part, listings are selling quite fast still. We're still seeing a quick turn where you're not really getting the full benefit of the listing because they're almost going under contract too fast. And the reality is, if you have a buyer that you're showing this weekend, are you gonna go show pendings? No. Why would you? So as soon as it goes pending, you're losing that opportunity list. So coming soon listings, do you do them?
Well, and I was gonna say, to add to that point too, I love that. So Mr. Seller, at this point, it's just a technicality. And here's the deal. Our team is 25 agents, and our agents every day are looking for buyers for our sellers and sellers for our buyers. So we know you're not gonna go on the market for another 60 days, but let us go to work for you. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna reach out to our database, every buyer that we're looking, or that we're working with that we know is looking in your criteria, and we're gonna get them excited, get the jazz going about your house. And they're like, oh my gosh, okay, here's you, sign the agreement. Again, it's whatever.
Yes, and then you have all kinds of bells and whistles with Keller Williams platform to take your listing as a coming soon listing to really maximize it with KWLS. So if you're not real familiar with KWLS, we will teach you how to use it. It's really simple, and basically what it is you put it on the MLS without putting it on the MLS. So you get the listing visible in all the major websites and portals that the typical buyer is looking, and during that period of time, you can pick up a ton of leads. Would you like a bunch of leads? Yes, let's hear it for leads, right? Leads are the hardest part of this business. So if during that period of time, let's just say Amanda is my seller and she needs 2 weekends at least to get things wrapped up, I'll be like, great, let's put this in the contract that I have permission to pre-market it so that I can hopefully save you money and get this under contract before we even hit the market. Kind of like an iBuy. Feels like an iBuy, right? And yet, what are you benefiting from? Leads. And what else are you benefiting from? You're less likely to lose the listing to actually go live by someone sneaking in on you. And with all the smoke and mirror marketing around here, do you guys need to worry about that? Sure do. Because the reality is these companies aren't held to the same code of ethics you are. That's the bummer of it. Purple Bricks is actually kicked out of America now. They're no longer here. They were a flash in the pan because they were so fraudulent with their marketing. Australia has kicked them out of the market too. They still are doing really well in London, England, area, because their market's so different and how they do things are so different. But they really got themselves into hot water because they were so fraudulent with their marketing. And yet, no, you've got to put up your dukes right now and fight for yourselves. And this is a great way of doing it. So a coming soon listing is a way to have them put you to work before they're really ready and for you to pick up leads. It's all about the leads, okay?
Well, and if this is a property that's in the right price point and right location, and you're going to market it 2 or 3 weeks before it's going live, I mean, you're really, really, really doing you are just gonna show up like the hero for your sellers, because now you're possibly creating situations where you're getting multiple offers above asking price, and you're getting them more than what they even thought they could net on the property, and then you just look like the rock star.
Well, and instead of hitting the market and getting an offer the first weekend and presenting it to them, you can present 5 offers and be like, what's the best offer? Now, with coming soon, other things that you can do is invite the neighbors to a preview party or host an
Yes.
open house. So by knocking on the neighbor's door and saying, we wanted you to see this listing before you saw my sign in the yard. And do you have anyone that wants to see it first? So do you see how many times, I mean, I could give you 1,000 things that you could do to market a coming soon listing, but do you see it gives you a reason to communicate to your people in a positive way? You could even have like a VIP thing with your database. So say you guys are all friends of mine. None of you seem to need a house. You've talked to me about real estate, but I say, hey, who do you know that wants to sneak peek at this one? You guys can be my deliverers of that intel to anyone that you know in your sphere. And what am I teaching you to do? Connect me. I'm teaching you to connect me to leads. So there's so much you can do with the coming soon, and most of you aren't capitalizing on it. And a lot of it's because you've grown up in the current market where you just throw a sign in, and a couple weeks later you got a deal that you were able to put together and you're good to go. But what did you leave behind in terms of leads? Think of that. And leads are, again, the toughest part of this business. So I don't care what the market's like, I would start doing coming soon now if you're not at a high level. And we can do a class specifically on a million different things you can do with coming soon to maximize leads. And yet, what I'd say is, if you asked our agents, about 80% of our agents aren't capitalizing on this right now. So just think what our office would look like when we are. It's truly an opportunity for you. Okay, so let's play the other side. Amanda, I listed with you. I'm a very good convincing seller, and I talked you into letting me overprice it. And crickets chirping, nothing's happening, and I'm like, Amanda, let's do another open house this weekend. Let's do the 17th open house for the 17th week. Typical seller wanting, what are you gonna do for me? How do you revive a listing gone wrong?
Yeah, so
It's not easy,
this was
really.
the hardest one for us because we won't do this. And I love the way that our Jeff
Well, you've
sets up-
learned
yes.
not to do this,
Yes.
so we're all
we
in
won't
different
do this
places.
now. Yes.
Yes, you've learned that.
So this was the hardest one for me to answer essentially, and Jeff sets up the listing presentation so well that it's actually not even here's the price I would recommend or this is what I'm interpreting from the market. It's literally this is your house, this is what the market's telling us, and it's all about putting it back on the market. So we know that if you list and we don't get any action in 2 weeks, well, that's the market telling us that we're overpriced, and I'm gonna come back to you and I'm gonna ask you for a price reduction. So we set expectations really clear in the beginning. It wasn't always that way though. So in reviving
So you've
a
learned
listing,
the
yes.
school of hard knocks, like we
Yes.
all go through in real estate, because it's no fun when you have missed the mark on a listing and you've got the seller's name popping up on your phone for the 4th time today. And you're stressed out, and it's negative mojo, and you don't feel good about it, it's your reputation on the line, and I know you've all probably been there. And so there's a work around that, and that's setting expectations during the listing presentation.
Yes, that is. Now, in reviving it, a good strategy to use, and again, this is just another script, is taking them through what we call the sales cycle. So it's dialing back into their initial motivation for wanting to sell the house. And
Do they
really
still
digging
wanna
deep
sell?
there. Yeah, because, okay, so Mr. Seller, we've literally been on the market 3 months now. The market has told us that we're completely overpriced. You
And
don't
this isn't
want
the
to drop
first
the price.
conversation you've had.
No, this is now trying to revive it, right? So it's
Yep.
been sitting stagnant for a while.
So they didn't wait for 3 months to talk to them.
Correct,
number one.
yes. So this is like we've been knocking on the door, price adjustment, we've needed to have a conversation and they've kind of just been putting it off like, oh, well, whatever. Oh, well, wait, no, we don't want to drop the price. Let's just see what happens. Do another open house, the same kind of stuff, right? So now we're having that fierce conversation and it's taking them through the sales cycle. So future pain, present pain, present pleasure, future pain, future pleasure. I always get that wrong. It's from Bold, if you've taken Bold. And it's really finding that motivation again, so.
So if I was gonna do that, say Amanda needed to move out of town, I'd say, Amanda, just to kind of take them through the process, Amanda, if we don't make an adjustment, your home is not gonna sell, and what does that look like for you and your family?
Yes. So, yeah, so tell.
So you gotta take them through the pain to look at what they need to do. A lot of us like to skim right through that because we don't like doing that, and this is a skill set that we can, help you conquer.
Well,
if
these
that's-
are all scripts, which is what's so great about it. So remember when we sat down at that initial listing appointment, Mr. Seller, and you told me that you're spending about $3,200 a month to keep this house running? Well, now we've been on the market for 3 months and we've gotten nothing. So how much is that right now? That's not.
That's like almost $10,000.
$10,000. Where if we would have just listed the house in the beginning at $10,000 less than what we did, which is where the market was telling us, you would have been on your way to Chicago now. So it's knowing those scripts and being able to tie it back and find that motivation again to get them to do what you need them to do.
Okay, and then you need to do CPR on this listing, you guys. So now, since they have continuous days on market, we used to be able to trick the MLS and take it off the market for a day or two and put it back on, it looked like a new listing. You can't do that anymore, can you? So certain things that you can do are really simple. One of the simplest things that you can do to resuscitate a listing is to change the first picture. And this is why. Consumers are on all these different apps, all these different websites, looking at properties every day, spending hours. And they look at it as a thumbnail. And if the thumbnail looks the same, they're like, oops, saw that house, saw that house, saw that house. So literally by just even changing the angle of the first picture, it can appear to be a new listing. Just food for thought. And you can do lots of different things like value range pricing and other things that we can go through in terms of a class. We could do a coming soon and resuscitating a listing class if you guys would like, with specific fundamentals that you could do. But you do need to almost relaunch the listing. And I'll add to this. If Amanda is my seller, even though she's the one that kept refusing the price improvement, and I kept recommending it, it's my responsibility, isn't it? It really is. So you got to own it. And Amanda, the seller, needs to see that I'm still fired up about this listing. Because the day you stop looking enthusiastic about their home sale is the day you lose the listing. And if you're worn out, kind of beat up on it, shame on you because it's your fault. And yet you've got to get excited and show energy around it. And so one of the things you want to do is sit back down and strategize together and like relaunch the listing and tell them how excited you are to get it sold quickly now.
Oh, and we even get them involved because a big piece of this is they want to know, what are you doing? Stop coming to me for a price reduction, or you finally got your price reduction, now what are you going to do to really revive the marketing around it? So we'll do brand new posts that we've done on Facebook, and we'll even tell them, so Mrs. Seller, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get all of the ads ready to go on Facebook, and then what we're going to do is we're going to send you a little tiny blurb that has the link to your house. So would you do us a favor and share that on your Facebook page so all your friends see that too? Because we want to get this house sold for you. So we get them actively involved, and they're happy to share it because they want to sell their home.
And
they see you're working for them.
No one fires the team that they're part of.
Right. So we're
So if you've gotten me involved in the marketing, I'm not going to fire my marketing team because I'm part of it. So just food for thought. Those are all little strategies. And I could literally give you about 20 strategies to revive a listing. And yet you've got to approach it as if that's what you're doing. I've got to do CPR on this baby. And you got to show love and excitement around it again. Anything else you want to talk about with promo?
I was going to say, one of the things, if you come off the elevator and you see our suite, you see all of those sheets in our window. That is literally a sheet for every agent who's in this office. So every time you walk by our suite, you can see what our listings are. And so that's our way of selling them to you guys, as well as talking to you in the office if we know we have a hot one coming. So we notify you guys of that. We post it on Facebook. We've also done prospecting to the neighbors in the neighborhood and asking, wouldn't it be really nice if you could choose your next neighbor? Do you know a buyer right now? I'm sure you know the listing now on 123 Main Street. Who do you know that would love to be your neighbor and move into the neighborhood? Mm-hmm. So selling it to the neighborhood as well. So those are just a couple of different things that we've done in the past.
Love it. So the other thing you can do is also get your affiliates involved, your lender, your favorite inspector, your favorite whomever. Brian P. Forrester in the back of the room, happy to help you. And a lot of consumers coming into properties, they'll see the price, but they don't really articulate what is the rent on that. What does it actually cost me each month? So one of the things you can do is align with a great lender to have marketing so that the average consumer that may not know that a $250,000 property with taxes and interest and insurance is going to be X amount each month, the consumer thinks like that. They don't think like we do, which we think 6%. We can do the math on 6% really easily. They think as, what is this gonna cost me each month? And so you wanna start thinking about how you're marketing. Keller Mortgage is another thing that you can do. You can put a sign in the yard and pick up leads that way because the property will come with an extra $1,000 closing. So there's so much you can do with your partners, and you wanna do it all. You want Brian and Kurt in your pocket, and you want Keller Mortgage in your pocket. You want it all in your pocket because you want every tool that you can compete with in your pocket. So for example, if you look at if you look at Amazon, let's pick on Amazon for a second with the turnkey package. So let's call it a $250,000 house because that's very average around here. If I have a $250,000 house and I list with a Realogy agent through Amazon, the sad truth is the commission would have been $7,500 to Amanda, the Coldwell Banker agent, or Amanda, the Sotheby's agent, or Amanda, the Century 21 agent. But because she took that lead for the $1,000 Amazon package, she's now only going to keep about $2,025. So she traded a $1,000 package for Amazon for the consumer, for me, the buyer, and it cost her $5,475. Meanwhile, instead of Amanda recommending her favorite lady that can come and do a deep clean, or her favorite painter guy that gives her referrals, or the guy that she trusts that does screen fixing and all the other stuff, Amazon's going to come in with their tribe and do all of that. So what does that do to Amanda, the Realogy agent? First of all, she's got to do 3 deals for one for commission. What's the chance that her whole database uses Amazon? Pretty big.
Well, it just made her completely irrelevant. She was just an order taker in this transaction.
You became an order taker, and really, even if Amanda would have already had my transaction because we're friends, or we have, she's been marketing to me and I trust her, instead of earning $7,500, she's earning just over $2,000. Because even if I'm friends with her, I don't understand or correlate how that negatively impacts her if I click on that button. Does it? So I feel really bad for all the Realogy agents that have been put in this position, but it's because of Amazon, and Amazon is trying to take the realtor out of the transaction. They're trying to make you irrelevant because we have our own Angie's List of vendors. We have our own everything, and they really are putting home service tools, the Echo Dot, the doorbell, and the listening device in everyone's house so that we use it more, which is, I refuse to put any of those things in my house because I think it's creepy. But yeah, how many people have one of those little Alexa dots? Do you guys? You do, okay. They're listening to you. I know. So at any rate, just be aware of these things, because when you look at promoting yourself as a listing agent, you're going to have to compete with iBuy being amazing marketers and Amazon being one of the best marketers in the universe, and you're competing with them. So do you have your toolbox ready and your marketing ready to share how you could give $5,000 with Keller Mortgage on a $250,000 house versus $1,000 of Amazon stuff? Now, if you really break down their package, and I've sent out some information, and I'll send everyone that's in here, make sure you sign in, I'll make sure you get all this. But the $1,000 Amazon package really is only, if you back out everything, $450 worth of services, which is like they can pick someone to hang pictures or clean their house or help them unpack. There are these services. Now, would you be willing to pay someone $450 as a concierge service after the fact versus give away $5,475 of your commission?
We've helped him move.
Yeah, really.
We'll go pack up the back of a truck and help him.
And if you have some of these tools that you're using in your toolbox and you show, I've got a $5,000 package for you, and it costs you $0, isn't that a good one? And you've got several of these packages. So after Mega Camp, you guys are going to hear about Keller Coverage. That's 50% off their insurance. Pretty big, huh? So you guys got that package coming out soon too. So know that you guys have to put up your dukes and defend yourself against Amazon and Turnkey. You've got to defend yourself against iBuy's marketing because it sounds too good to be true, because it is. And yet, this all starts today with your database so that you don't miss the appointment to start with. And then you want to bring this message through during the listing experience and listing conversation. Because otherwise you're going to lose the opportunity, or you may not even get the chance at an at-bat. Okay, so What do you do for a new listing to really give it some razzle dazzle? Is there anything that you want to share, or post close to really make hay with the listings that you've sold? What's kind of your process?
Yeah, so we definitely upload it in KWLS, so it syndicates out. We call.
That's for new?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so when it's brand new, you upload it into KWLS, so it gets everywhere right away.
Well, and this is if we couldn't do a coming soon. If we did a coming soon, it's already in KWLS, so I think it updates automatically once
It
it goes
does.
active on the MLS, yeah.
It does.
So this is if we didn't do a coming soon. We call all of the active buyers that we're working with, and we actually we use video a lot on our team, and so we'll go to the listing and we'll do a quick video and like, hey, who do you know out there that's looking for a house just like this? And we'll give them like the base criteria. We'll let them know if we're doing an open house or something. And that's a Facebook Live we could be doing. It could be a BombBomb video we're sending out to our entire database. And then we're calling all the active buyers that we know that are in that criteria. In addition to that, I told you guys about our listing sheets that are in the office. Obviously, we do, the sign in the front yard is another way for advertising it. Generating hype around it with videos. Any of the open house, we might do an exclusive open house and just let them know that it's only going to be between this time and this time, and it might, depending on what the price point is and if it's a really hot listing, it could be like an invite only or something along those lines, and generating that sense of urgency for people to really want to get engaged with it. And then obviously the regular stuff, so Facebook posts.
So you're maxing it out.
That's yeah.
So
trying to
this
think if I
sounds like a
forgot
lot of
anything.
work, and it is. However, if each listing could bring you 2 more closings or 6 more leads, is it worth it? It's a lot easier lead gen than most of you do. And it gives you that reason to talk to your database so that you're not feeling like Mr. Spam a lot of information, or I'm bothering my friends or family. You're not. When you're promoting a opportunity and say, if you know anyone, we want to give all of our friends and family the first crack at seeing this house, who comes to mind? That is a different conversation than, hey, do you need a house? Because if they needed a house and they're close with you already, you probably know that. So it's really about becoming really proud of what you do and really professional at it in a way that you are attracting leads. And the way you communicate things is very proactively and professional. So you can create a routine around every listing, and it always should have coming soon whenever it's possible. Every now and then it's not practical, especially if it's an expired listing or a listing that's already been listed.
Yeah.
They just want it sold. So
Yeah.
they don't want to waste time. And yet you can really do that. Now, what about after I close? What do you do to make hay with post-close?
Yeah, and I just wanted to add one more point to that is being extremely purposeful and sprinkling in. So we'll do like it's hot on the market now, we blast it out everywhere, and then we might be setting up an open house. So we'll go door knock the closest 20 or 30 homes to it and invite the neighbors to the open house. Like, we know you want to know what Sally Joe's doing and all those updates. Come see us on Saturday for the open house. And then that might be like a week before the open house, and then maybe 4 days or 3 days before the open house, we'll call those same people that we went and door knocked. So they're getting like we are really hitting them hard and being purposeful in the way that we're advertising this.
And in doing that, your open house is more likely to be a hit because of the energy around it. But they don't come in and sign in as John Doe because they were invited. Because no one likes to be the nosy neighbor. You don't want to be found out by the homeowner that they were there. You want to feel like you were invited to do so.
Yeah, they've already met you. You've already broken
Yeah,
the
it
ice.
changes the whole vibe of the open house. And when they come, even though you just invited them, they're friendly to you and interacting with you, and it's a really positive feel. Plus, you are interviewing to be their next realtor. And compared to every other open house they may have popped by or other signs that they've seen out, you razzle-dazzled, did you not?
And this is a way for branding yourself. So we also have a criteria depending on the price point and the location, especially if it's in our farming area and we really want to get in. We might do a just listed postcard. And then when we get a contract, we'll do like another just posted postcard. And it's only to, like we might pick the closest 100 homes if it's a huge neighborhood to that house. So we invited them to an open house, then we called them, then they came to the open house and met us, and then they got a postcard about our open house about our listing that was just listed. Then when it goes under contract, we send out another postcard. So we have like our logo, our name is embedded in their brain because it's just a branding play that we've sprinkled on top of sprinkled on top of sprinkled. So.
And you realize you can take over a neighborhood by doing that.
That's
in
how you
short
get market
order.
share.
That's how you gain market share. One thing I'd add to that is having some fun. So if you're more of a face-to-face person than a phone call, a great thing you can do is have some open house sheets ready to go and knock on the door and personally invite them. And body language is a big deal. If you turn and just hand them and almost like you're walking away, just invite them. No one is offended. I've never had anyone beat me up yet. But what you'll find is people will stop you, and then they're open to a conversation. So it's just a quick invite. Just wanted to make sure you didn't get left out. We're having a little party, and just want to invite the neighbors. Open house. You guys would be first to see it, and you just hand it off. And then if they ask more, you've got permission to have a solid conversation, and that's a really good tactic to use with people so that it's a warm conversation. Another strategy is to knock on the door and say, wanted to personally invite you, and we're having a little contest. We're going to find out which neighbor knows the market the best. And so we're asking you, it's kind of like guess the baby's weight and when the baby's born. We would like your guess on what the actual sold price is and the date it closes. And whichever one of you is closest knows the market best, and we've got a little gift card for you. And you can have some fun with it, and they'll look at the list and be like, oh, where did they come up with this price? And you never know where that conversation goes, but it's a lot of fun to unravel that conversation. And most people play along, and they'll put their little information down, and then, of course, you follow up, and you have a reason to follow up with everyone that played the game to let them know who the smartest neighbor in the neighborhood is. So there's so many ways that you can turn this to be really fun and interactive. And again, what is it doing for you? Creating opportunity and really setting you apart. So just a fun thing. Okay, what would you
said
add?
post-close, yeah, sorry.
Yes, post-close.
I kind of cut you off.
No worries.
So after it sells, if it falls into our criteria, like I said, we'll do a just sold postcard. And we may even follow that up if it was like, because we do a lot of probate where, 3 siblings that are in 3 different states inherited this property, and they needed to get it sold fast, and they didn't want to deal with the headache. And not only did we sell it in 2 weeks, but we got them above asking price. Like, it is okay to do a humble brag. So we might do a postcard with a success story and just explain that. We helped this seller do this and that. So who else do you know that we can help that way? And then let the neighborhood know the success, or let our farm know the success. So we might do some type of postcard like that, and then we automatically roll these people into a 36 touch. So if you've read the MREA, you know what that is, because we are a database focused team. So we want to make sure that we constantly stay in touch with them, so that we can ask them for reviews and referrals for our services, and they're sending us business. We've taken it one step farther. Actually, we also do an orphan buyer letter.
Which you should. You should adopt everybody in the transaction, because most of those agents are not as equipped as you are or trained, and so they just see the deal is done, and they'll never talk to that buyer or seller again because they're not on top of things like Amanda and their team is. And you might not be on top of things. You might be ignoring your people that you've closed. Most agents, unfortunately, do. So fortunately for you, you want to just absorb those folks in your world as soon as you close.
Well, in my opinion, this is the biggest no-brainer of them all, because you had the listing, so all you need is the buyer's name. You already know their address. You just sold them the house. So you just send a letter that basically says, welcome to your new home. We hope you loved it as much as the seller did. And we'll do return address labels, like a sheet of them, and say, while you're getting acclimated, here's some return address labels from our team. Hope you enjoy it. And now they've gotten something from us, and the chances are that the agent on the other side of the transaction is probably going to never talk to them again anyway. So maybe we pick up a buyer, maybe we don't, huh?
I love that.
Yeah, maybe we pick up a buyer, maybe we don't, and it's not a whole lot of cost to us. It's a sheet of return address labels that we've printed in a letter.
And to add to that, I have seen a lot of really great agents also say, hey, is your agent throwing you a housewarming party? Yes. And they say, well, no. And that's the agent that helped them on the buy side say, well, I'd love to introduce you to the neighbors. I could either send out a little mailer kind of introducing you guys, whatever you're comfortable with, or we could throw you a party. What are you up for? And you can have a lot of fun with this and just have adopted that whole group of people. So there's so much you can do, but do you see the value of a listing now? You guys really see it? Do you see any missed opportunity? Anyone have any ideas or ahas? Anyone taking action on anything from what we've shared with today?
Those last 2 things in particular.
The orphan buyer?
Mm-hmm, orphan buyer.
I always felt like, I'd still be stepping on the buyer's agent's toes if I were to have a communication with that new buyer.
Well, so little things too is like, once you get settled into the house, if there's any thing I can do for you, like connect you with great service providers or vendors, or if you get a little list of projects, I'd be happy to help you connect with great people that I know I can trust. And just offer. They're gonna go with whoever they have the relationship with, but the sad truth is 90% of the time, they'll never hear from that agent again. And so if you step into that and they take advantage of it, they've decided to. And it doesn't hurt to offer. Never does.
Don't let that be a limiting belief, because I'm just thinking through the scenario. If a buyer's agent called our team and said, "How dare you send return address labels to my client in their home," I'd be like, "Well, you should have done it." That would literally be my response. I don't think it's stepping on any toes.
No, and a lot of agents do really well with that because, as the agent that's the listing agent, you're the lead agent. Now, the only time that kind of bites you is if there's conflict between the agents, and sometimes you see that where the other agent made you bad and wrong even if there was nothing you did.
Oh, yeah.
And that sometimes comes out, but just kill everybody with kindness and be great, and nothing bad will happen to you. So, okay, so we have 5 minutes. I want to end on time. Is there any questions or thoughts you guys have? Let's hear from you. Yes, Tabitha.
How long after the closing do you ask for a review?
So how long after the closing do you ask for a review, and what do you ask for?
So this actually starts at the listing appointment. We set the expectation that every single time that the transaction transitions throughout our team, someone's going to be asking them who else they can help, like we've helped you. So we're asking throughout the entire
So you're
process.
asking for referrals throughout the entire process.
Oh, and a review. I
And a
mean,
review.
if we got their house listed and we got an offer on it in 2 or 3 days, is the seller not the happiest they've ever been? Why wouldn't I take that opportunity to ask for a review now? So we've got multiple layers in the team where we're asking for those. So the listing agent sets the stage, and then when our listing coordinator reaches out to schedule photos and do all that, she introduces herself and then lets them know. So who else do you know that we can help like we're helping you? Would you mind giving us a review, and here's the link? And then it transitions to our transaction manager, and she asks the same thing, and then it moves on to the end. So we're asking at all different stages. I mean, we'll ask at the closing table as well, and if we still haven't gotten it, we'll ask a couple more times. And if we do have a challenge with that, we do big client events, about four big ones a year, and we use those events as an opportunity to also capture referrals if we weren't able to do it throughout the transaction for whatever reason they couldn't do it. So.
Well, and I've always likened the real estate transaction, like when you start working with someone, you like love each other, and you're seeing each other all the time, and you're hanging out, and you're spending a lot of time together, and that's the honeymoon phase. And then as soon as you get under contract, it's like purgatory, right? So if they're going to give you a positive review or referrals, they're probably going to do that more in the honeymoon phase than getting through a hard inspection or an appraisal that just didn't go right or seems really low. And even if it's not you, it's not your fault, it's happening. And, so it's honeymoon and then purgatory. So when are you going to get the most opportunity for referrals? And then reviews. Do you send them links to just do the reviews, or do you collect them and put them on? How do you guys do that logistically?
Yeah, so we have in our email signatures for our operations team, we have the links that they can click on that'll take them directly there, and they can choose what platform. So we have Google, just regular Google, we've got Facebook, and we obviously stopped doing Zillow. We ixnayed Zillow. So our third platform, yeah, they are evil.
They are
so
evil.
our third platform, I think now is Yelp. Our top, those are our top 3.
Those are the top 3. So you definitely want to stay away from Zillow and Realtor.com
Yes.
and Trulia reviews.
And
They're
here's
not
the thing
serving you.
too, like there are so many scripts for all of this that it like we have a couple of scripts that literally gets them bought into like, oh my gosh, we need to give you a review and a referral actually. And so Scripps helps with that. I'm telling you guys, Scripps is the way to go.
It really is.
Scripps.
But it's systems as well. So one of the things I'll just remind you of is Command's Smart Plans will allow you to like document all these things that you wish you were doing. Okay, just like Amanda, this is a system, right? That she's built and gotten better and better and better at as she's gone along with her career. All of you are getting better and better every deal you do. So you may not be at this level yet, but can you imagine if you were just to document what you wished you were doing every time and you put that into Smart Plans so that when you get your next listing opportunity, the program's nudging you or doing some of this automated for you? Because you want to put automation in your business so that you can be this great all the time, even if you're a single agent. And yet, can you do this all by yourself? You might get lost in the checklist alone, much less what if you have 5 new listings this month versus 1 listing this month? How are you gonna make it scalable? And so Command is really built for that, and there are gonna be smart plans already created that you could just borrow. So if someone has a really good plan out there, instead of reinventing it, you could just say, I wanna start using this smart plan. And so I believe most of those are gonna be live after Mega Camp, which you have access to.
Could you imagine if Jeff and I had Command 4 years ago?
You guys would, yeah, no.
And let me just tell you guys, our whole team did a training today to get us like really up on Command, and oh my gosh, I'm speaking from experience when I tell you this stuff is sick. There's nothing out there like it. Like we are so jazzed. Even the agents who didn't even want to put contacts in the database, after seeing what they saw today, they're like, we'll get on those contacts right now. Like, it is so cool. So take the opportunity to use Command to its full capability, because it's going to make your job so much easier.
Command is gonna save you in the industry. It's that simple.
I totally.
And we have a lot of agents. We had 26 agents join us in July. And a lot of the reason why is those experienced agents were at brokerages where they didn't have anything, or they were trying to piecemeal it together and spending a lot of money. And they came to Keller Williams for Command. We actually have a small brokerage rolling in right now that's going to be able to keep all their branding, and they're so proud of their brand. But we're the only company that allows branding. So they get to keep who they are, and they're now powered by Keller Williams. That's how they're kind of seeing it in their world because of the Command. So if you have not woken up and started Command, know that when we get back from Mega Camp, it's going to be like Command Central here. Command will be in this room every day, and if you need to plug into that, just raise your hand and Kevin will grab you and we'll get you into the class you need.
It's literally, they've made it plug and play for us. All you have to do is plug in and it's there.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So any last questions? Okay, well, I hope you take action. You know, a class attended with no action afterwards is just a waste of time. So figure out what it is you're gonna do, and if one of these ideas really resonated with you, just start with the one, because you just have to plus it every time you do it. Sound good? Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you.